Hello, guys, and welcome to a special Christmas week 10 of Fox ANIDOM thoughts. I've been behind on these, and I apologize. But you guys will at least get to see what I thought. Again, some of my fans have been asking about my thoughts, and they wanted me to keep going. And of course, I'm doing it just for them. I don't really care if these don't get views or not. It's just sort of closure for those who really want to know. Or even some people, for those who really want to know, you can click on the video and check it out. So, starting with The Simpsons and A Springfield Summer Christmas. So this one sees a filmmaker named Mary, whose guest voiced by Ellie Kemper, and she's tasked with filming a Christmas movie in Springfield. And of course, Bart is upset that he has to give up his room. So then he secretly records her talking gossip behind the townspeople because, her life is obviously better than theirs. And then they all abandon their project on the movie. And then Mary reveals to Marge why she doesn't like Christmas because her dad ends up being killed on a set. So then so she turns it around and decides to say what makes her happy, what she likes Springfield. Everyone accepts her apology, and that's pretty much it. It's just an okay episode. It's just okay, it's not really a Christmas special. It lacks direction and some of the points. Most of it was just mundane to me. We've seen Principal Skinner, who falls in love with Mary, or like other people many times. This one's really no different. And I heard this is a parody of one of those movies, but I could say that the episode doesn't have to be exactly like those movies, because, there are plenty of parodies of stuff that changes it up, that are fun and, inventive. Like Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day is different than, the obvious parody of Bob Belcher and the Terrible, Horrible, Very Bad Kids, because Bob Belcher and the Very Bad Kids is one that's more indicative of the show's heart. It has the similar concept with the movie that both revolve around a bad day, but the delivery and the direction it heads into is different than the actual movie. And it ends with a nice heart-to-heart moment that shows why I love that episode so much, and why I love the Belcher family. The 200 episode of Bob's was incredible. It's one that I've been a little too harsh on in the past, but from rewatches, I'm like, I really like this. It's a great episode. Yet A Springfield Summer for Christmas feels like a copy-paste of whatever movie. There's a few funny moments. This is just a Simpsons on autopilot. It's nothing special. Of course, the guest stars, both Richard Kind and Ellie Kemper, did both fantastic. The voice acting behind these shows is beyond fantastic. Like the voice acting is probably one of the most consistent things about these shows. Is like, despite the writing not being there, the voice acting will always be fantastic, in my opinion. These shows put a lot of effort into their animation and voice. Well, not really Family Guy, but the other shows put a lot of effort into their animation. And all the shows, even Family Guy, put a lot of effort into the voice acting. And that's why the voice acting is obviously the best thing about these shows. And, it's not Ellie Kemper and Richard Kind's fault that the writing lacked here. But, the recent goal of modern Simpsons seems to be churning out as many guests as they can. And I feel like that hurts these episodes. And it's more of a reason why they need to stop doing it. Then they also need to stop trying to be Family Guy. Like they have cutaways that are irrelevant to the plot. It doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really do anything to make it different, innovating. It's just there. It just exists. It's mediocre. It's out of the holiday spirit. I'd even say last year's Christmas special was better. Despite not using Sideshow Bob as a true main focal point, it's still better than this. Now we're moving on to Bless the Harts and Invasion of the Potty Snatcher. And this is an episode that's kind of grown on me, honestly, because, I didn't really like it at first. I thought, okay, this episode's not very funny. I was just pretty much bored when the first time I watched it, but then when I went back to watch it a second time, there was a lot that I missed out on. And I'm actually glad that I gave this episode a rewatch because it has a very fine drawn line between you either really like it or you don't. Or, according to IMDb, it's at a 6, and that's the lowest score in season 2. A 6 out of 10. All the other episodes have 7s or higher. The average is like 7.3 or 7.4. This one has a bare 6, and it has the least votes too. 30 something. I know Buster Hart doesn't get a lot of votes on IMDb, but I'm just using IMDb as a focal point to tell you which majority of people liked or didn't really enjoy it. So again, I wasn't fond about this one. It's not Christmas themed, but it is based on Die Hard, which can be considered Christmas. Well, it's a loose parody of that, with Wayne trying to crawl into that, and trying to crawl into the dumpster vents. I wasn't fond of it again. Rewatching it again was a great decision. It's not very funny, but it uses a different type of storytelling that is unique to sort of the show, because I've seen other shows, they don't really tell this way of storytelling. I know Bob's Burgers has its own special way of storytelling, that's why I love it so much. But Bless the Hearts hasn't really hit that yet. But it's nice to see little niche episodes like this that even though a majority of people aren't fans of it, there can be people like me or like anyone else who liked it even more than me can appreciate this episode a lot. And this invasion of the potty snatcher not only tackles social commentary of female norms in society being prevalent, but also gives much needed development to its main character, Jenny. Throughout the show, Jenny has proven she's pretty stubborn. In Pound Pinchers, Wayne lists all the times she put herself in danger. And that's the core focus of Invasion of the Potty Snatcher, which is tackling one of the main focal points of Jenny's character and putting it into a situation that could be the theme of an episode. But Potty Snatcher isn't like typical Buster Hearts episodes like Trash Twins or Pumped. But, it's different because its main emphasis isn't the comedy, but, rather the character development and growth. And, because of this, there's something that I really missed out. The episode really wants people to think that it's bad for the first 2 acts or so. And, it was actually, again, it was, I was not impressed with the first 2 acts at all, but it does surprise you at the end with what it sets up. Once it uses its main plot to its focal point instead of just, going, like a seesaw, like moving back and forth, but like once it sticks to its focal point, it tackles not only 1 but 2 traits of Jenny, the episode really starts to improve. Like throughout the episode, Jenny asks for Louise for raises in indirect ways. There's even a flashback where she tries, but it's not that she needs to be direct with her request, but she needs to be able to learn to empathize with those with the same fears as her. And with when Jenny is tasked by her boss Louise of getting her out, getting the lady out who's stuck in the bathroom, or like who stays in the bathroom for a long time, Jenny becomes annoyed by the lady's unresponsive behavior, but then the lady, of course, doesn't want to openly speak out because of one answer, which is fear. And Jenny can relate to that because like the lady in the restroom having her fear of speaking out, she also has a fear directly because of female norms. And Wayne even directly tells Jenny to be direct, and she still refuses. And it's not until Jenny learns from her interactions and tireless efforts in the restroom where she's able to conquer her fear of being direct to others in her request. And it's a moment of personal growth and character development for its main, which it does incredibly well in the last final act. I could say the final act is like I'd probably say it's near perfect. Because the episode for the first part felt like cheap, easy shots at feminism, and Bless the Hearts is produced mainly by females, so I was a little concerned of how it turned out. But because how it turns its narrative, it ends up being something better than I expected it to be. Because okay, the first and the second acts aren't very good. I don't think the third act's going to be good either. But it does eventually turn around. I liked it. I'll probably talk about this in a future video sometime. There's a lot I have to say about this episode actually, but this is quick thoughts, and I've already wasted so much time. And then I'll talk a little bit about the subplot. The subplot was just fine. It's just Betty trying to seduce her high school teacher, and then it turns out her high school teacher put a restraining order on her, and that's why they haven't really hung out. So yeah, it's just fine. It was pretty boring, but yeah, I'd really recommend this episode to even people who haven't seen the show. I think it has a little different perspective that can maybe kind of win you over, as opposed to the typical episodes like Trash Twins, which might not quite win you over because how it feels sort of like still most of the episodes of West Hearts tend to be more silly, while this one tends to be a little more serious, and I really appreciate that. Next up, we have Bob's Burgers and Yachty or Nice, and this one sees Jimmy Pesto invite Bob to a yacht event, and then Bob thinks that Jimmy's gonna only invites him to embarrass him, but it turns out that Jimmy Pesto invites Bob so then he can look better because Bob serves good food and he doesn't. Hence why it does have a nice build, a nice sweet build up at the end with when Bob and Jimmy get into a fight, they end up reconciling their differences, and when Jimmy tells Bob why he truly invited him, I thought it was pretty sweet and really nice to watch. And then you have the subplot is the kids try to get gifts, but then Teddy would have to give other people's gifts to them, and then in the end Teddy ends up getting something for them instead because he really likes the Belcher kids. It's been proven many times that they bond and stuff. Throughout 200 episodes, it's inevitable. They are going to bond multiple times, and I really like how they nailed it down. However, I don't think this continuity thing with Bob and Jimmy Pesto is really going to last. I feel like it's going to go on that Family Guy route where they all go back to just disliking each other again. So I really hope they can turn away from that because Jimmy Pesto honestly is a terrible character. He revolves around one joke, and I honestly don't like it. But this episode brings some sort of development and light into Jimmy Pesto, as with the season 10 finale pranking him for being a friend. And I could say this was a pretty good episode. It wasn't that funny, but it was good. And last we have Family Guy and the first number L, and this one was pretty dang awful. I wouldn't go to say it was as bad. I wouldn't go to say it was one of the worst this season, but I thought it was pretty bad. The H&R Block joke went on far too long. It was just unfunny. There was the one with the crown, and then that's just one of those examples of them overplaying the joke over and over again. And then it has the same with Quagmire, just showing that he's a lonely, depressed person, just because he doesn't have any family to spend time with, and it brings that thing back multiple times, and it's just not funny. And there was a montage of them. Montage of the family spending, trying to come up with the best Christmas decorations, and then they had to ruin it by putting Meg in the oven. I thought that was just stupid. So overall, this episode was mostly about, okay, Lois is tired of the family not doing chores or helping around during Christmas, so then she leaves and leaves them on their own. It's mostly poorly done. Okay, they can still be on their own after Lois leaves. It makes no sense to me. It introduces it, does nothing with it, and then for some reason she wants to come back. It just doesn't make any sense to me. This episode is just... The story is incoherent. Almost none of the jokes work. It's just a plain disappointing Christmas episode about Family Guy. And Family Guy has proven that they can do some Christmas episodes. The first Christmas episode was good of the show. The one where Lois gets fed up and she goes on a rampage. And that was certainly better than this. Because, there's a reason why, and it sticks to that reason. Second, Road to the North Pole is one of my favorites, and that was a pretty good episode. I'd even say Christmas Guy, the Vinny's last appearance was better than this. Because at least it has some sort of direction, whereas this has no direction at all. So yeah, Family Guy hasn't been doing well with Christmas recently. I think they should just drop Christmas altogether. In my opinion, I feel like they should just drop all their specials because almost all their specials don't really work. Okay, Cutaway Land isn't really a Halloween special, but it aired on Halloween, and same with Disney's The Reboot. Both of them were disappointing. Shanksgiving sucked. I'd say Turkey Guys was okay, but that was the last actually okay holiday special. The rest don't really end up being that good, so I just kind of wish they just dropped these. If they could have more episodes like Wild Wild West or The Talented Mr. Stewie, I would really appreciate that from the show. It's just the show running on autopilot on its last legs. Yeah, no, I do not like this at all. So yeah, there you go, guys. It's mostly a depressing week 10. These Christmas specials. Okay, one of them is bad. One of them exists. The other two are pretty good though. I really enjoyed those. So again, I want to know, of course, let me know what you thought in the comments. Of course, there's videos on the right hand corner that you might like from me. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys next time.